very special and happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. A special welcome to those who have come back home to their roots here in Coraopolis to be with their families at this time. We welcome you and thank you for coming today to this Thanksgiving liturgy. I always say as a priest, I have the biggest table every day, God's people. And it's wonderful to gather in His house, to see each table mate of the Lord on pilgrimage, on journey, together. And I think the banners in our sanctuary today on this Thanksgiving Day are great reminders. Enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. Psalm 104. Behind me here in the ambo, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. In the wisdom literature of Sirach that we read this in the first reading today, the Lord gives gifts to religious people, gifts that endure forever. And if you read Solomon, he says, God did not create human beings or ever intend for human beings to be arrogant or violent or ungrateful. Sirach uses those words. God did not create us to be arrogant, violent, or ungrateful. God created us to be a grateful people, and gratitude is the basic, pervasive attitude of living acceptance of God's will to love in our lives. Did you say thank you? We learned as an infant child. And we know that gratitude is an attitude. It's a way of life. But sometimes we live in a world that we're entitled. We've merited. We've earned. We deserve. Did we give grateful gratitude that we can see today, that we can hear today, that we have our health, that we have our families? Today in the United States, we celebrate Thanksgiving Day. It reminds us of all the countless things that we're thankful for in our lives and in our nation, in our families. The first thing I think we're grateful for is our redemption. Of God's infinite love for His people. There was a man 2 days ago whose 30-year-old daughter died, and she was buried at St. Catherine's in Crescent Township. And he said, Father, as I waited for her to come into the world, and I went to St. James Cemetery, and I put down the shovel of dirt on my own daughter's casket, I said in my heart, I'll love her always. And yesterday we had a funeral of an 84-year-old woman. They had no pallbearers. He was the pallbearer. And he said, in all of my pain and all of my suffering, it was good to be in your church on Thanksgiving week. And being here anointed me. A man called me up this week and said, Father, I'm moving out of the parish. Could you give me the address of where I'm going? And Thanksgiving Mass will be my last Mass at St. Joseph's. I'm grateful for this parish. On Tuesday this week, there was an ecumenical service up at the Felician Mother House. And different ministers of different faiths were there. Father Andrew Fisher of St. Margaret Mary preached, and he was reading cards of what the youngsters were thankful for. One was thankful for the Steelers, and one was thankful for the Penguins. But nobody was thankful for the Pirates, huh? Guess who was sitting behind me last night at the Penguin game? Neil Walker, the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they gave him an ovation. I thought to myself, for those who forgot to thank God for the Pirates, Neil Walker's presence last night gave a rousing ovation that was even greater than the Penguins' loss. We're grateful in our country for our personal freedom, to make choices that determine the course of our lives. God created us and gave us a free will. Mother Teresa says we can become a saint on any day or we can become a tyrant on any day, but God gives us that liberty. We can love people today or we can hate people today. We can include people today or we can exclude people today. We can reach out today or we can forget the needy. But today we come together as a Christian people and offer the most fundamental gift, our solidarity with the poor, as we bring our almsgiving. Because throughout the Bible, when you give to the needy and the poor, it relieves you the weight of your sin. And God is merciful to you when you reach out. As I was walking to my car last night, I passed Operation Safety Net at Mercy Hospital, run by Dr. Jim Withers. And when I got to the door, I bowed there last night and I blessed myself. And I said, all the wonderful work of over 25 years of reaching out to people under the bridges, people in dire straits. Never make fun of anybody when life bottoms them out. They're in rags, or they're in adversity. Because we need to reach out to one another, because we too are under the bridge. And we too are vulnerable. And we too are weak. And we need one another and reach out to one another. We thank God for the opportunities that He gives to us to make the most of our talents. God blesses us all in wonderful ways to be a blessing to others. I remember when I was chaplain at Mercy Hospital, there was this lady, her name was Mrs. Green, and she used to take 2 buses, 85 years of age, and she used to work with the daycare center there, all free of charge, 85 years of age. And I'd say, Mrs. Green, when are you going to slow down? She says, no, the Lord gave me gifts of art, to cut out things, to show children how to draw, and I want to share them. I cannot stop sharing them. And I said, Mrs. Green, you're an inspiration. To see you every day and just seeing your joy of reaching out to others. We give thanks to the Lord for the chance to work, to find it meaningful and fulfilling for the common good, whatever gifts God has given to us. A priest friend of mine lost his mother. You know, and as a priest, your mother is your universe, because you don't have a wife, and you don't have a natural family that you beget. So your mother and the Blessed Mother are the giants of your life. And as I go to be with my 88-year-old mother at the Little Sisters of the Poor at 12 noon, she's the center of my life. And I thank God for my mother and my faith that she's given to her family. But this priest friend of mine lost his mother this year. She suffered a lot with cancer and almost broke down and all. And I wrote him a letter this Thanksgiving week, and I sent him about 300 handouts to his parish family to give to them, because he's mourning the loss of his mother. And I said, you know, Joe, you've opened your parish up, and I was grateful to be there this past week, and you have your mother's hospitality, your mother's generosity, your mother's simplicity, your mother's graciousness. Because when you know God, nobody's a stranger, nobody's an alien, nobody's an outsider, nobody's a Samaritan. Because grace draws people in. Grace unites people. Grace doesn't see anybody as the outsider. but to bring them into the radius of the circle of God's infinite love. We thank God for gifts. And gifts come in many ways, and oftentimes they've come in challenges to grow in new ways. For friends and family who support us along the way. You know, there was one thing I was profoundly grateful in the year 2011. With the school closing down, it wasn't easy. To making changes wasn't easy. To seeing things that you know are an inevitable part of life of change. Not easy, but sometimes difficult, but sometimes necessary. I went on a retreat in October, and I had a priest from Duquesne, James McCloskey, a spirited father. And he talked about our Christian vocation is to love. And what the world needs is us to grow in love and deepen love and to share love with others each day. And that's the greatest way we can thank our God, by living our Christian vocation to love. And so as we gather this Thanksgiving Day, we gather to love. A love that is genuine, a love that is sincere, a love that reaches to others. My prayer for all of you and your families, that you will continue to grow in God's grace as a family, and love as a family, and continue to never give up on anyone. Maybe they're distant from the church, maybe they're distant from the family, maybe they're lost. But I think the more that we mediate and radiate Christ's grace to others, we bring a Thanksgiving presence to them, not just on Thanksgiving Day, but on every day we anoint them with Christ's living presence. In closing, I'm going to call this Thanksgiving week for the 4th time to go up to Caring Heights. And I went up there and I anointed this man, and he was dying, 76 years of age. And I talked to the nurse and how long he had been there since February, the illnesses that he had, Parkinson's and dementia and things like that. There was no family there at all. And I said, is there a legal guardian? And I called the legal guardian from the Caring Heights home on Coriolis Road. And I said, I'm a priest from a local parish, and I just anointed and said the prayers of the dying for Mr. Quinn. And I just wanted to let you know that I was there today. And he said, Father, that means the world to me. And I'm a stranger. I'm just his legal guardian because he had no one else. A priest friend of mine, in every prayer of the faithful, he prays for people who have no one else. No one else to love them, no one else to journey with them, and no one else to pray for them. We are a Christian people. Christ is with us. Christ loves us. He cares for us. He prays for us. And he wants us, because we've been anointed in his name, to be a Christian, to bless others. Not just today and tomorrow, but for all eternity.